Hello, everybody listening to the Fairweather Podcast. It's your boy 2K Suave. I'm here with Mr. Alex Rodriguez, the aforementioned Alex Rodriguez. He used to be with Jennifer Lopez, but not anymore if you saw the pictures. And then we have two special guests for this Tampa extravagant, whatever you want to call this damn episode. It's super Tampa, but we cover NFC South as well. Hello, my Tampa fellas. How you guys doing? Introduce yourselves. You guys already know Mike Pless, by the way. So we're gonna skip you for now. We'll get to you second.
That's fine. Go ahead, Gene.
Yeah, my name is Gene. I'm with Buck. What you heard on you can find me on Bucks Report. Been doing the podcasting thing for a while now, and just excited with what the prospects are for this season. Really excited. Oh, and by the way, as far as A-Rod goes, this is a good A-Rod because the other guy is a scumbag. So
he is.
Just
we already agree on something today.
No, I'm a Yankees fan, so I mean, I didn't like him when he was with New York. I hated him. So
okay, that works for me.
I've met him on a couple occasions too, so kind of factor that in there. So
okay, so you got the whole package.
Yeah,
got it. All right, Mike, go ahead and speak, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. I am Michael from Real Bucks Talk. So you can follow me on YouTube, Twitter, all social media. Just type in the words Real Bucks Talk and find some great content where we go in depth on, film analysis and talking everything Buccaneers. So just excited to be back on with you guys. It's really fun to talk sports and NFL and everything.
I do have to say, I really do appreciate your film analysis. You really, especially like during draft time when you're doing like those draft profiles and stuff. I was very impressed. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of jealous. I don't have that in my bag, but I'm gonna start breaking down film a little bit better. It's been a while since I've actually looked at film, so
appreciate it. I'm the co-host of the show. Can I speak now finally?
Oh, hey Rod, hey.
Yeah. So Pless, I wore this jersey just for you, Pless. So I hope you feel happy. I know a throwback Eric Rhett jersey. Creamsicle decided to, since we're going to talk all out of Tampa Bay sports today, I might as well rep with Tampa Bay on. But yeah, thank you guys for coming on. Gene, Mike, it's going to be a lot of fun. The show is pretty much triggered to Tampa today. We're going to discuss the NFC South. So you can trash it all you want, give your predictions on all the stuff that we'll talk about. We'll have some fun with it. But usually what we do is we go down the line and talk about what we're going to be talking today. We'll discuss the city of Tampa. Is it, considered Champa Bay is what people are calling the chants now in Tampa? Is it really Champa Bay? We'll dissect that a little bit more. We'll break down the Buccaneer season coming up. We'll talk about, key additions, key departures, draft picks, prediction on what their record may be, things they got to do to get back into the Super Bowl talks again, which we all think they're possibly the clear favorite going forward this year, being that they just brought back the entire team. And then we'll go to the NFC South, the rest of the teams there, the Falcons, the Saints, and the Panthers, and we'll do the same thing, discussing them as well. And then for our fun segment, I meant to send this to you guys earlier, but you should be able to do this right off the top of your head. We're just going to do our top 5 Buccaneers of all time, and I'm pretty sure we'll have the same 5 across the board. But
I'm a little crazy, so mine is not going to look like yours probably.
I hope you put the kicker that they got from Florida State in the second round up there.
Wow, wow, that's still coming up.
We are a couple minutes, we already jabbing. I like it.
You never forget. But yeah, let's kick off the show with our Champa Bay segment. So Tampa is now getting a chance of being Champa Bay. We have a successful football team that hasn't been around for a very, very long time. And obviously, you guys know you've been doing your podcast when they were really bad. And now you're seeing a different Buccaneers team out there. The Lightning have always had the momentum to be really, really good. And now they're just taking the NHL by storm. And the Rays and their Moneyball, man. Moneyball, I say it all the time. Moneyball will win you games. It won't win you championships. But plus, what have I been saying for 5 years that has happened to just recently? You went and got a big bat. So the Rays are looking to do something different that they don't usually do. So my first question, you guys, is Tampa Bay considered Titletown right now? Would you consider Tampa Bay to be a title town?
Gene, go ahead. I'll let you go first. Yeah.
Whoever wants.
With the arrival of Tom Brady, you kind of have to say that. I mean, when I look at what the Lightning went and did I mean, you got 3 championships in whether it's hockey and football in less than a year. I think it's less than a year, right?
Yeah, less than a year.
And yeah, so you got 3 championships that have come to one destination in that period of time. Then you have a general manager who, along with his staff, they were in Mike Greenberg and some of the other ones that were uh, instrumental in bringing back everybody. And the Bucs have never had this problem where we've got depth, where the team has depth all over the field. We've never been able to talk about this, and where do the rookies fit in? Normally, it's always been, oh, we've got rookies, we got to get them in so they can contribute. Now you're looking at a different scenario where you're talking about, oh man, we're bringing these guys in. How are they going to fit in now? Because you're looking at your starters, and the majority of them are locked, and it's just going to be, the roster's fluid. I'm going to say that, and plus that is your mantra there, when we talk about the game itself.
Right.
But when I look at this team top to bottom, it's just exciting, and I think that the Bucs are in a position to actually be those realistically the defending world champions and get back to actually defend that title. So yeah, as of right now, if you put this in a span of a year, I would say absolutely they're this is Titletown right now.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, as far as just in a time like 1 year period. Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously I want to see the Rays get on board too, to add to it and finally have everyone have a championship. But that remains to be seen. Hopefully they be aggressive coming up this week and make some more moves to really put them over the top. But
what would be a really great move is if the owner gave up ownership of that team and gave it to somebody that actually cared about the Bay Area. Because you got a real scumbag right there. I don't know.
All I want is Mike Pless to go in there one day and just the first thing he does is trade Kevin Kiermaier. That's the only thing I want. So the kid stops having a heart attack every day in my other chat.
Yeah, they need to trade him, but again, that's a long story. But as far as like Champa Bay, I mean, the Bucs and the Lightning are set up for many years of success just because of what they're doing. Their management, I think, is finally on board, and everything they're doing is working, and they understand what their system is and how to operate it very good. So yeah, I mean, the future is very bright. Now we want to see if we can continue to capitalize on that. Can the Lightning win, 3 cups in a row? I mean, that'd be something. And then obviously the Bucs trying to go back to back and maximize with Tom Brady and company. So yeah, I mean, it feels good. It feels good to be like part of like, other championship towns. I mean, obviously
winning culture.
Winning culture. Exactly. And I think that's what's being built.
I do have 2 questions. So we're gonna get to one of those questions in a second, but I don't want to say rebuttal, but I have like a slight. You're talking about the future is bright for the Bucs, and obviously the very, very near future is bright. But this thing didn't look this much different. Like this team did not look that much different 2 years ago. All that really changed was the quarterback, correct? Obviously, you added Gronk, you added Antonio Brown, but that I feel like with the team that. If Tom Brady would have quarterbacked that team that Jameis had, he would have had the same success, correct? Now, Tom Brady is kind of old. He's 44. He said he might go out this year, and this might be his last year, right? So let's say you guys win the Super Bowl, you don't win the Super Bowl, whatever's going to happen. If he retires this year, do you think you keep that same momentum that you have now, or is it back to the same old Tampa Bay Bucs?
Can I take this one?
Yeah, right. Go Gene.
All right. I want to take a trip back in history. You look at your general managers like Bruce Allen. You look at Mark Dominic and the gross mismanagement you saw in free agency, gross mismanagement you saw in the draft, in coaching selection, just gross mismanagement from top to bottom for an extended period of time. There was no direction that this team was going. This team did not know how to win, and the locker room was just shot. And what you're seeing now, you have a quarterback who, just like you mentioned, wasn't much difference with this team. They brought in some key components, but when you make players better around you and you have that kind of impact on the locker room, that tends to resonate with players. And I'm 100%, behind what Pless is saying. I think they have a direction. they have a good leadership. I mean, they have good leadership from the front office all the way down to the ball boy. You know, they've got it right there. And I think they will continue that after Tom Brady's gone. This team will continue to be competitive.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I feel like, going back 5 years to, 2015 when they, drafted Jameis, and having the coaching staff and the turnover there, going with Dirk Cutter, and that didn't work out. And there was a lot of things that just weren't in place. Mike Smith was way past his time as far as defensive schemes go. The talent, I mean, it was young, and there was a lot of good players that were ready to continue to get better. And I think since 2019, when Bruce Arians came in, this roster has definitely changed for the better. And just bringing in guys like Ndamukong Suh, JPP, Shaq Barrett, etc., those guys have really changed how we operate. And I just think the leadership standpoint, and then just the culmination of bringing in a Tom Brady, that put them over the top. But that's not to discredit this roster, because this roster was ready to win. And unfortunately, it showed in 2019 with just the inconsistency at quarterback. And, if you have a smart quarterback who protects the football, gives your defense an opportunity to, be more consistent, it definitely helps.
Yep, you got to check up from the neck up, and basically being able to make those decisions, right then and there, those snap decisions. It helped the offensive line. It helped your running back core, because you're number one. You're not having to hold blocks. You know that he's getting the ball out, and it takes some of the stress off of your offensive line when we're talking about the quarterback. And just from a leadership perspective, you got players on the defensive side of the ball that were ready to run through a wall for the quarterback, where you haven't seen that type of cohesion with this team in years past. I mean, even during that Super Bowl run with Brad Johnson, you didn't see that kind of cohesion. I mean, the defense was the straw that stirred the coffee, basically. And it wasn't like it is right now. I mean, you can see a lot of parallels. I mean, you got Sam Weish, and then you went from Sam Weish to Tony Dungy, from Tony Dungy to John Gruden, and then they win the Super Bowl. Whereas you had Lovie Smith, Dirk Cutter, and then you had Bruce Arians come in and win the Super Bowl. You see some parallels, but this is a totally different thing right here with this quarterback. He's once in a lifetime. I won't say generation to disrespect him, but once in a lifetime quarterback that you have here.
Yeah, I think this team is different than the last Super Bowl. I think when you saw the last Super Bowl team, it was all defense. You saw the defense gelled so well together. And I think on offense, they made the plays they needed to make. You got Keyshawn Johnson, who's probably one of the best receivers in. You're welcome from the Jets. And probably one of the best blocking wide receivers out there that always goes uncredited too. So that definitely helped, but it was totally defense. And that defense was all in sync. And like you said, that this team was all in to win. That defense was all in to win that year. Like that was their mantra. They were going to go in there. They were going to destroy, wreak havoc on the Raiders. John Gruden was going to take down his old team, and he did it. This team, I mean, when you get a caliber of a Tom Brady on there that's like a seasoned veteran, probably, I shouldn't even say he's the best. Okay, fuck it, whatever I said, you heard it. He's the best to get it done. I hate the man with every bone in my body. He's the best to get it done. So when you put that into the mix, I understand that too. But I like to play bad cop, man. I'm a bad guy on this. So when I see the Bucs and I see the NFC South, I honestly see it's a returning, or it's a revolving wheel of a change of the guard. Somebody's going to be up top, and then it's going to go, and then down to the bottom. Like the Panthers for a while were at the very top, and then now they're at the bottom. They made a bunch of moves in free agency that has made them better. And like just recently, after the Bucs, or before the Bucs, the Falcons were in the Super Bowl, and now they're basically cleaning out house with Kanye West living in their domain right now. So it's,
if you think in the last 10 years, the whole NFC South has been in the Super Bowl. That part, you're on the right track with that, because it is kind of a revolving door, but it's quarterback driven at the end of the day. Yeah. And Tom Brady's the quarterback, and that's just what it is right now. That was why I asked that question, because when Tom Brady's gone, it's who's going to be Kyle Trask. I mean, I don't know if he's ready for that. I mean, I don't know who the Falcons are going to have by then. I don't know.
They're gonna pick up Aaron Rodgers. It's
okay.
It's happening.
I don't want it'll probably happen because Pless is like a Houdini at this shit. So I'll give it to him. But
if
whatever.
that happens,
bro, true story. Before I first met Pless, and we were talking about the draft, he called like 8 picks in a row.
Damn,
just different team. Just he called it.
He watches all that film,
and and I'm watching all 22, but I'm not seeing what he's seeing. And I'm like, nah, they're gonna get this guy. And he's like, no, they're gonna get this guy. Boom, 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 boom. And so I'm like, this guy is legit. So every time I talk to people, when I have him on the show with him, I'm like, you got to follow him during draft time.
Yeah,
it will blow your mind.
Plus, I got a question.
Yeah,
how are you with fantasy football?
Fantasy, I'm not that great, to be honest.
He makes the greatest trades with me before the season starts.
That's true. That's true. My brain is complicated because I overthink things. So
okay,
I look at things. I'm like, well, he'll come up and start being good or whatever, and I look at potential more than I do just go with. Yeah,
because I was gonna have you fill in for me for some drafts.
Oh.
So now that I know that
I'm not your guy.
Now that I know that, I might have to move on and look elsewhere.
Yeah. I'm definitely not your guy. Like
all right.
Fantasy baseball, I'm terrible. Football, it's like hit or miss with me. So
I'm a bubble playoff team in every fantasy team that I play. I'm right there on the bubble. I either make it or just miss it. So I'm okay. I'm okay being that guy.
I won in 2015 and retired, and somebody shamed me into playing last year, and it was a bad situation. So back in retirement after all that, because my thing is I don't want any division rivals. I don't want to have to root for division rivals. I got Michael Thomas on my team. I had to go and throw up before I go and watch the stats and stuff. So it to me, it's not worth it because I'm not getting Matt Ryan. I'm not getting Christian McCaffrey. I don't like those guys. They're in my division. I don't care about them. And then that was that one time I had to have a New Orleans Saint on my team, and they helped me win it all, and I was like disgusted by it.
You know what's funny about that? Because I think I'm an Eagles fan, so I think the same way. And if you go look at the track record of my fantasy teams, the only players I pick up that are from the NFC East, and it's not the Eagles, is the Washington football team. Because the Giants and the Cowboys, I refuse to do it. I did pick up Saquon Barkley last year after he got hurt because it's a keeper league, but I'm not gonna keep him. It's because I know for a fact it's gonna be week 16 and it's a championship game. It's the Eagles versus the Giants, and I need him to win, but I need to win the game as well. Like it's that part of the headache. If I'm out of it, I want to be out of it so I don't have to, be stressed. That's why with the bracket tournament with the NCAA, that's why I stopped caring about that because.
Bro, I picked the bracket after the season's over.
There you go.
I won fantasy football with Tom Brady as my quarterback, and it was the most gut-wrenching thing I had to do. But I won 2.
Is it really that bad?
It was. I'm a Jets fan.
Really,
that poor Jets fan.
So 19 years of me watching him kick my ass every year. Yeah, it's bad, but hey, I won $2,000 out of it, so I can be happy about that at least.
So now the Bills have taken over, man. How does that feel?
I hate my team a lot, man. I'm in the cellar like you guys were a couple of years back.
Yeah,
so.
I feel you, man.
So I'm gonna kind of answer that question. So the name of our podcast is the Fair Weather Podcast because for a very good amount of time for us, me and A-Rod, we're very fair weather fans. So his Jets have sucked for God knows how long. My Eagles, we won one Super Bowl, but that roller coaster, my God. I'm a Sixers fan, and I haven't seen success ever. He's a Knicks fan. He's never seen success. Yankees haven't been good in 12 years, and the Phillies haven't been good since we beat the Rays 12 years ago. So it's like it's been an emotional roller coaster. That's why we're fair weather fans. Yeah, so this poor man has had Tom Brady in his life for far so long. And
wow, I didn't even think about that either.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
If I met him on the streets of Tampa, I don't think I'd shake his hand, man. I mean, again, he's entertaining now. He's
head nod. You get a little head. He'll get a head nod from you.
I wouldn't even acknowledge him. Hey, I'm Tom. Okay. See ya.
Wow.
Don't you gotta throw some footballs or deflate some footballs or something you got to do, bro? Like out of here with that nonsense.
So would you acknowledge Gase if he walked by you?
Adam Gase?
Yeah.
I'd probably look at him like this.
Bug eyes.
Nah, I there's very few Jets players that I have like an emotional attaching to. I think Darrelle Revis is like the last one. But other than that, it's my organization is just a really bad organization. It's ran horribly. They're on the same kind of wave as the Bucs have been for a while. We get players of big caliber and we don't use them to their best abilities by putting a team around them. We just plug them into trash and then they become bad and then they go somewhere else and either get lost in the system or have a successful career after that. So
it's like the bricks, the New York bricks are the same way. It's almost the same thing.
Basically,
that's another story.
Oh yeah, well we could.
That's another story.
Just throw them through a window, man. Just throw them bricks through the window.
Gotta throw the whole team away.
Hey man, if they move somewhere else, I'd be happy. I may be a Bucs fan then after that. We'll see. But let's stick on this topic of Tampa Bay. So the Bolts are probably going to go for 3 now in a row. Could you see them? Plus, this might be a better question for you because you're like a savant in all Tampa sports for the most part. Could you see them as like a Patriot-esque dynasty type of hockey team?
Kind
of like the Red Wings, I guess, in the 90s, how they were just winning shit left and right.
Yeah.
I honestly, when I look at that team, they've done a good job of keeping their core players too and not letting them go and bringing up players like a Braden Point, who's very, very good, and getting guys like Pat Maroon, who wins the Stanley Cup with the Blues and then comes on over here and just keeps crushing.
Hey, shout out to Brady Boy. He just got paid today.
Yeah, he got his
little bit of money.
Big contract. So
a little money on the side.
Yeah. The Lightning are
Lightning.
The Lightning are set up very well. So I think, obviously you have the best goalie in the world, that plays a huge part into it. So when you have a guy like that, you're going to be in the playoffs every year. You're going to have a chance to win the cup. Now, can they do 3 in a row? And if they do, would they be considered a Patriots dynasty? I think so. I think they're already a dynasty, to be honest. I mean, you look at, just from 2015 forward, they've been in the Eastern Conference Finals very often. Like I think it was like 5 or 6 times. And, they've been to the Stanley Cup.
A great man once said, winners win. Do you know who that man was, Pless?
Winners do win. Yeah.
I believe that was you who said that.
Guy was a genius.
Yeah, so I mean they do a great job of just continuing to find players and continue the process. And John Cooper says it. I mean, it's process over outcome, it's work over hope. I mean, that's their mantra, and they just do a very good job of just continuing to do it the right way. And really they're playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. And that's, you can kind of say the Patriots were doing that for so long. And they're on their way to doing more great things.
You know what the difference is for me and why I like this Lightning team so much? And you don't really say this word a lot in hockey, like for hockey sports or in hockey teams, but they got a lot of swag. Like they just play with this cool, like, to me, I feel like I'm watching like a band perform on the ice or something. I don't know, like it's a lot of just they play tough when they need to play tough. They play fast when they need to play fast. They got them set pieces that look nice when they need to have a set piece. I mean, our goalie body is ridiculous. It's just a lot of swag on that team.
And that SAT word they play in concert. They just play together and they just make it all work, man.
Yeah.
I was hanging out with some friends when I was in Tampa and we were watching Game 3 of the Stanley Cup, man, and just the game was never. Oh, it's tore up, man. But there was never any doubt. I mean, when you were watching that game, there was just never any doubt that the Lightning weren't going to win that game.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. Like, I've lived in Tampa since 2008 now, so 13 years. I've been to countless Bucs games, a lot of USF games, go Bulls. I've been to a lot of Rays games. I've been to Harlem Globetrotters game. I've been to concerts. The most fun I have going out into a stadium kind of arena kind of place is going to a Lightning game. Mm-hmm. The electricity, like no pun intended, the electricity at a Lightning game is ridiculous. It's another level of like excitement and joy and fun. And that pumps into the team. Like you could be having a bad day. You wake up in the morning, you're having a bad day. Your kids peed on your leg and all this stuff happening to start the day, and you got to go play a game at 7:30 p.m. You get to Amalie Arena, you can just feel, we got to perform today. Like it's very infectious.
So, in your eyes, is Tampa a hockey town?
God, you know what?
I think it is now.
It is, right? That's crazy.
I think it has been.
Yeah. And if you think about it, you go to a Bucs game, go to a Rays game, go to a Lightning game, and see who has more people there.
I think as of recently, it's become a hockey town. Within the last 5 or 6 years, it definitely has evolved into a hockey town. I think if we had to look at all 3 sports teams that are in Tampa right now, I would say the Lightning are the biggest one. They have the most consistent winning seasons for biggest stretch right now. I think they make the right moves. They have the big name players. If you look at each of, I mean, now that Tom Brady's here, of course, he's God. So, but if you look at like the NHL, Stamkos and Kucherov and Vass are like 3 of the best players in hockey right now. The best goalie, and Stamkos is probably one of the top 3, 4 years ago before he started getting all these crazy injuries. And then Kucherov is just a point machine. So
yeah,
I think Tampa, if we were to say like, what's the sport that goes first? As much as my heart would love to say baseball, because I'm a baseball fan, it's definitely hockey, football, then baseball. So that's my honest opinion on it.
Yeah, but you go back to when they won the original Stanley Cup, and you had Hobby Bulin and Martin St. Louis and some of these other players. They had a rock solid roster, and they were still they were competitive, and so I mean they've always the Bolts have always been competitive to some capacity. Right. They may have had a couple of down years, but they always brought it back, and I think that's why they've consistently had the showings that they've had, is because they've just, they haven't been like a Buccaneers team that only wins 1 game in a season or something like that.
You always have hope. You always have hope.
Absolutely.
No matter what, going into the season,
you
might have lost some players in free agency and you probably didn't draft as well as you want to, but at the end of the season, we're going to be
and I think ownership somehow. And I think the Lightning ownership doesn't get enough love, but what they've put together, what they've amassed, I think they can stay on this trajectory for a long time.
Correct.
I think Kake and I talked about this in the last episode that we did too. We did for we talked about like our top 5 expansion teams since the Krakens decided to come into the NHL this year. We had them in our top 3. Like they're literally came in the 90s and have been 20 years now. They've been taking this by 30 years now. They've been taking it by storm. I mean, no pun intended there either. But like
and I can remember when the Bolts were considered a joke, because you had hockey in Florida, and all your hockey purists, everybody in Canada hated, the fact that the Panthers and the Bolts were in Florida, hated that stuff. But they've overcome all this and really kind of shut up the critics the way they've done it.
What's funny about that? A lot of these people that are critics are snowbirds and come here and do it when the weather is hot anyway. And then eventually they all retire here or move here at some point. So
especially they're horrible in Montreal. Everybody from Montreal is horrible.
Oh, yeah. I've never been.
But they come to Tampa, and you.
Oh yeah.
You ready for them to go back where they came from? I'm sorry if you are a Canadian watching this show. I'm sorry, but it's
not
true.
Personal.
Yeah,
nothing personal. It's just factual.
Definitely is true.
learn to drive, man. That's all I can say.
Hey, when I get old, and I'm going to Canada, I'm gonna be driving crazy there too.
Because why not?
Putting the wrong signal on and everything. I'm gonna piss everybody off. You just wait and see.
All right, so we've got 2 winning franchises right now in football and in hockey in Tampa, and the Rays are just right there on the cusp, man. They're right there. We got to I shouldn't say we, because that's not my allegiance, but they got to the World Series.
Just say we.
Not we. There's no we. We aren't French Canadians, so no, we're not saying we. So the Rays got to the World Series, and it's entertaining because you don't see a team. It's very weird to see a team like the Rays go because they don't fill in the stands. They don't fill out people in the stands. Tickets, you can get tickets at 7-Eleven. We were doing that for the longest, right, Pless?
Oh yeah.
You basically can walk into that stadium, and even the old lady checking the tickets will not let you down to the seats that are third baseline, and there's like 4 people sitting down there. You got to go sit in the outfield. But regardless, they have a winning culture. They're beating the Yankees, they're beating the Red Sox, they're beating all the big name teams. They get to the World Series and they still don't have like the support of the fans. So it's historically a team that plays the money ball game. They do the analytics a lot. They've gotten rid of a lot of pitchers and players this year that were like, what the fuck? Why did you get rid of these guys? And they're still winning. They're still doing it. And then this, plus I just love saying it. Like, you don't know how much love I have saying that. I've been saying for 5 years, all the Rays got to do is go get a bat. And I've been saying for the longest, Nelson Cruz is wasting his career wherever the fuck he's going. It doesn't make sense. Just go get Nelson Cruz. Just let him DH and let him hit home runs. So I promise you, Pless, as much as I wanted to kick in that door during the board meeting and they were just sitting there like, okay, what move are we going to make this year? I would have loved to kick in that door and say, trade KK, get Nelson Cruz, and just leave. That's all I wanted to do. But somebody heard me. I'm trying to find my tweet where I just said, just get Nelson Cruz. That's all you need. And they did it. So now we're seeing the Rays do something historically they're not used to doing at the trade line. They'll always go out and get a bullpen arm, a utility infielder, another outfielder, a back end starter. But this time you got a solid 7-time All-Star power bat in Nelson Cruz, and then you're being linked to, which I'm 100% sure it'll never happen, but it's just nice to hear you're linked to a Chris Bryant, you're linked to a Max Scherzer, you're linked to a big name player to bring here just as a rental to help you get over the hump and win. When they went back to the World Series against the Phillies, all I said was go get Carlos Beltran, and they screwed the pooch there. Now they listened to me, I hope, and they just got Nelson Cruz. This could be the chance. So now the question I propose to you, what do they need to do to become champions now? Like, what, you're in the win mode right now. What's the next step for them?
Yeah, I mean, they need to stay aggressive. I mean, it does you no good. And I understand that they have a system in place, and I agree with the system as far as the roster construction, but there comes a time and point where you have a team that's ready, or at least you think is ready to, get that championship. You were so close last year. You took the Dodgers, who have a great team, to, 6 games, and probably should have forced a game 7, to be honest, but it didn't happen. So you're looking at this team now. You're right there in the mix for the division again, only a couple of games back from Boston. You need to go for it. Like, this is a great opportunity to capitalize. And yeah, you could say, well, you don't want to lose these prospects and stuff. You're going to find players. Like, that's not your problem. You're able to find,
but they develop everyone.
Yeah. Like, you're able to find prospects year after year. Like, you have so many kids in the system. Utilize that to your advantage to go get these big name guys and put a winning championship team on paper, and let's go get it done.
Yeah.
You know how to compare the Rays to right now, what they kind of needed, the approach they need to take. We just saw the Milwaukee Bucks win an NBA championship 100%. After 50 years.
Yeah.
And they're not like a big time, LA.
They have that one marquee player, and they built
exactly. Yeah. And they do a good job. I mean, a lot of these guys some of them are homegrown talent. Some of them they pick like the utility guy, PJ Tucker, the utility bench guy, Bobby Portis. Oh, we're gonna put Brook Lopez in this situation. They lost DiVincenzo, and Connaughton kind of took over that role. So like they did a good job plugging and playing, plugging and playing. And the Rays have always notoriously been known to do the plug and play. So I don't think they necessarily need to go get the guy or whatever. Like, if they can get it, then by all means go get it.
Call up the right guy.
But they just got to get the right guy. Like, they're gonna know, he's gonna be the perfect closer if we have to be in a game 7 situation. And I'm not really a fan of the analytical stuff. Right. How I am. I'd say to the sport that applies to the most, though, where it helps, is baseball. Not pull Blake Snell because he gave up a hit or whatever. Don't do that. But as far as roster construction, that to me, that's where there's a place for. Yeah, all we really need is go get that one guy, and it doesn't have to be a splash play.
So I'm gonna tell you right now, I went over to Dominican Republic. I've been over there, I don't know how many times, but getting to see their franchise over there in the DR. Versus what the Yankees have. I think the Yankees share facility with Washington in DR. Mm-hmm. But going over and looking at the Rays, those kids are hungry, and they're able to find kids and bring them up to their farm system and stuff. Mm-hmm. That's one thing I can really appreciate about the Rays. They They want to get those good prospects up there, but they don't want to shell out any money. And that kind of goes back to ownership. So, and I'm sorry, I don't like the owner. I think he's a scumbag, and I wish he would sell the team and try to build a franchise in Montreal. He would be good in Tampa, because to me, I think it's disrespectful what he's doing in Tampa. They could just move the team to the Tampa area. I think that it would cover them all. Because I can tell the Yankees game, Franklin at 6:00 in the evening is not pretty, and it's not something that I want to do on a regular basis. So I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. I just think ownership plays a huge part in why the Rays have not gotten over that hump.
I agree 100%. And Pless and I are in a group chat where we just kind of like bash the Rays and they praise them at the same time. It definitely is. And when you're linked to guys like a Chris Bryant or a Max Scherzer, like I know they're a lot of money to shovel out, but they both have World Series rings. They're both masters of their craft. One's an MVP, the other one's a Cy Young Award winner multiple times. So if you need a starting pitcher, and I think the Rays really need a starting pitcher, even though they don't have a solid ace this year. We can all agree and say there's not a solid ace on that team. And if you get a Max Scherzer just for 5 months or whatever, 3 months, whatever it is, just that's
you're putting them over the hump right there.
Yeah, that'll do that will do it.
Yeah, that's definitely it, because these kids are. My father and I have discussed this all the time. Like the most fun my dad has at the end of the year, because he's a born again Rays fan. So the most fun we have at the end of the year is looking at the free agents and saying, like, who's the next potential Ray? And most of the time he calls it. Like, he looks at these low budget guys and he's like, that guy can do everything the Rays need him to do. He can play first base. He can play outfield. Fuck, he can play third base if you need him to do it. And he'll be a Ray. And sure enough, he becomes it. But there's no pressure to come. The one thing that I think the Rays have done is they make a place where there's no pressure. They look at teams and they look at guys like Yandy Diaz, who we heard his name a lot. He never got to play because there's a log gap there for him to start. He'll get some DH spots. He'll maybe play at first base sometimes, but he's not your solid starter. And then they'll take a gamble and they'll get him and they'll say, okay, you're going to play every day at first or third. And there's no pressure. There's nobody here to watch you. So just go out there and have fun and play the game that you've learned to play and love. So these guys come out there and they have fun playing baseball. And they have fun beating teams like the enormous payroll of the Yankees and Red Sox versus what they have to offer. Right. And then when it comes down to contract time, the Rays are just like, did you have fun? Because Boston wants to give you triple what we offer. Look at this. And then it doesn't become fun anymore. You go to a culture where you're expected to win immediately because that's our history. That's our
their culture. Fan base is trash.
Yeah.
And it's if you start to suck and you're paid so much, you get ran out of the town. And then where the Rays become best at it is like, look at Chris Archer. Come on back, man.
Come on back home, baby.
Not a race. You might be in the bullpen, but you're gonna. It's almost embarrassing. Like I hate saying that about the Rays because I love baseball. I don't hate the Rays. I want them to win. I want them to go over the hump and win a World Series. But analytics can only take you so far. Mm-hmm. Analytics can take you so far. And whoever that guy who told Cash, you got to get him out of the game right now, I would have fired him immediately. And I would have broke his stupid little iPad right there in the dugout. You're gone, bro. Like, you're done. I'm sorry.
He picked up that landline phone.
You gotta get Blake out. Blake's picking kids out. We gotta get him out. We gotta get that arm. Like, no, man. You can't. There was so much momentum in that. And the Dodgers payroll is so freaking big. And you got to see
it's ridiculous.
And you got to see the budding of a Rosarina in the playoffs, the perfect time to have a player catch fire.
Yeah.
And Blake Snell was dealing. Now look at him. He's on a team with 5 8. There's 5 aces on his team.
He's an afterthought now.
There's 5 aces on his team, and one of them is on the had Tommy John surgery. So he's gonna come into a position where there's so many good pitchers there, and Scherzer might go there. So like, what happens to Blake Snell? He becomes your back end guy. So it's all goofy, man. The Rays got to wake up, smell the coffee, and be like, we got Nelson Cruz. Who wants to go out? Let's get fucked up in Tampa Bay. Let's go out to downtown. Let's go to Ferg's. Let's get trashed. And we're going to call the Cubs. We're going to call the Cubs at 1 a.m. and be like, yo, we want Chris Bryant. We'll give you whatever you want. And just hang up. Like, that's all you got to do. Just drink a little bit of liquor and make some ballsy calls. You'll make Tampa fans happy. You got exactly. Tom Brady. Fuck, do it. Pull the trigger, man.
No risk it, no biscuit.
No risk it, no biscuit.
There you go.
Make it happen.
That's the way I see it. So, with all that talk, now Tampa, like we've been talking about in this whole segment so far, is a very championship-based, fun place now that we're seeing across all like cool parties. We're seeing, the Super Bowl.
It always was,
Super
bro.
Bowl trophy being tossed from boat to boat. We're seeing the Stanley Cup getting dented. It's a fun place to come to. So,
but listen, Tampa's always been like that.
Yeah,
we are a city that drinks a lot of alcohol.
Party.
We have
Gasparilla. There you go.
City.
We are
a party ass city.
We know how to party, but we don't know how to party for our sports teams. Okay. Now that we're seeing winning culture in Tampa Bay, is it enticing for players to come want to play across all sports? And can you attract another franchise like a basketball team here now that we hosted the Raptors? Could you see like something like that happening?
Are we a big market now, basically?
Are we becoming a fun market? Could we overtake? Hey, Tampa just overtook Miami as the most fun city in Florida.
That wouldn't be hard.
Could we shit on Miami? Yeah. The price is too.
Seriously, you been to a Marlins game lately?
I have. It's embarrassing, man.
Yeah. They got this nice stadium. They got like 8 people there.
They paying rent. They paying rent for no reason.
And they're probably the relatives of some of the players out there that got free tickets. It's the only reason you got people in the stand. It's embarrassing, bro. Oh, and I mean, look at the Heat. After LeBron left, after Shaq left, the Heat are just the Heat, basically.
They show up in the second quarter, maybe the third quarter, like, all right, there's a game. Oh.
My thing about Florida sports, though, has always been that there's so much more things to do in Florida than go to a sports game. Like, people are flying down to go take their kids to Disneyland, take their kids to vacation.
Disney World, bro.
Yeah, it's Disney World, bro.
Straighten that out, bro.
Yeah, don't mess that up.
House money, whatever, man.
I'm telling you, man. I take offense to that kind of the Disneyland thing, and
I was
call it Tampa Bay all the time, and it's Tampa. And, But I'll let you go ahead and finish.
No, real quick. I was a Disney baby. Okay, my dad worked at Disney. Okay, it's Disney World. It's not Disneyland. It's Disney World. Okay?
All right, man, let's just first off, let me go second on my own show, and now I'm being chastised for the Disney thing. We're gonna change it to the Disney podcast. I'm so sorry, Mr. Disney, man. But anyways, there's so many more things to do in Florida than there is really to go to a sports game. So that's my always tip with sports in general in Florida, is there's so many more things to do, and you have to allocate marketing and different things.
Bro, winning covers a multitude of sins, man. It'll change your life, and we're seeing that right now. I mean, me living in Arizona and coming to visit my kids and visit my grandkids and everybody in Tampa. When I get there, everybody is about the city. I'd never seen that many Bucs jerseys. I never seen that many Bolts jerseys. I never seen people wearing Rays jerseys. I mean, people are about Tampa right now because everybody's winning. So, I mean, when I look at it, because I can go back to a time when everybody was a 49ers fan in Tampa. I can go back to when
Packers fans.
Exactly. When Steinbrenner was alive, I mean, he was Tampa's favorite felon. And, they embraced him, and he's the reason the Rays are not in Hillsborough County. They're over in Pinellas. And I'm telling you right now, there's going to be a big change. There's got to be a big change to bring the Rays over to Hillsborough County. And I think you'll see a big difference, especially with attendance.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
Okay. So basketball team or not?
No, I don't think so.
We're not ready for that. They're going to get less fans than the Rays get.
Yeah.
Not with the Magic in Orlando. I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah, I agree. In Disney World, not land.
There you go.
All right. Let's shift over to what you guys like to talk about. Let's talk Buccaneers, man. So you guys are Buccaneer savants. We're glad to have you both on here. So Buccaneers breakdown. Of course, you guys win the Super Bowl. You have a couple key additions to the roster, Giovanni Bernard, and that's pretty much it. The entire team is back. You successfully re-signed the entire team, which is amazing. I'll give you that. Looking at key departures, I mean, I really don't know any big ones except for Deion Buchanan and Steve McClendon. You're welcome, by the way, for that rental. I'm happy he has a ring.
He's back.
Smith is gone, isn't he?
Yeah, Ryan Smith.
Ryan Smith is gone.
McClendon's back though.
Okay.
McClendon is back?
Yeah, he resigned.
Get him another ring. That's the Jet I'm happy to see win it, man. So And then draft picks. You go, I guess the most ones that stand out to me that I put, plus I'm pretty sure there's ones that'll stand out to you more. Joe Tryon, of course, your first round pick.
Yes.
We talked, you were telling me that one too at the end of the day. You're like, you're gonna take this guy. And I was like,
Yep.
Never heard of him.
Oh, you see what he does?
He's a savant. I called him on my where was I at? I was at the Lightning game.
That's right. Yeah.
I chimed in and I went on my first two first round picks, and I was just like, trash, whatever. Like, you get Tryon, you got Trask, and then you got Robert Hainsey from Notre Dame on your offensive tackle. Yes. Those are your three picks that stand out to me.
Yeah, Darden is my guy.
Yeah, you got to throw Darden in there.
Darden's going to be the X factor.
In there. You guys know it better than me. I don't dissect the Bucs. I'm going by like the picks that I know by name and the programs they came from. So I'm all good with that. Can they? What do they got to do to repeat the championship? I mean, obviously the same team is there. It's if teams are smart, they did their homework and they're like, okay, this is what these guys did. Here's how we got to stop them. There's got to be something you got to change up in it.
They got to stay healthy.
Yeah. Regardless if y'all stay healthy, the next guy up is solid right behind them. So
not if it's Thomas Edward Patrick Brady. Not if it's him. Because if he goes down, that's the end of the season.
Yeah, I can tell you right now that offensive line has got to keep him upright, got to keep him clean, and I just, other than that, I don't know that you really see a whole lot of change from last year, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say, every year is different in the NFL. So, crazy things happen week to week. It truly is a week to week league because things can change on the fly. Like, injuries play a huge part, like we just said. So if this team can, manage to avoid key player injuries, I think they'll be okay. And again, they just have to trust their process as far as, what got them to where they were last year. Now it's going to be different because they are going to be the hunted. So they're going to have a proper mindset in how they go after these teams week after week. And I think with the leadership and the coaching staff, they're going to have that mindset. But again, it's difficult. We don't see many teams do back-to-back championships. It hasn't been done.
Since who was where? Tom Brady.
I think the last time it was with the Patriots. I want to say 03 and 04.
Panthers and then the Eagles. I know.
Yeah. So it's not an easy thing to do because other teams across the league, they get better, and maybe certain players that were good last year are not the same this year. You have veterans like, JPP and Ndamukong Suh. Maybe they don't play up to that level.
Yeah, Father Time is undefeated.
Right. So there's just things that change. And, hopefully, they just continue to stay on the course. But if you tell me right now who's got the best chance to do it, it's the Buccaneers because of that roster and what they have on that team. So, yeah, definitely there's a reason why, people are betting them to win it all right now. They're the number one team on Vegas. So, I like our chances. That's for sure.
I mean, you got to look at the players that were injured, like Ali Marpet. You had, OJ Howard was injured, a guy that he was really gelling with Tom Brady early on in the season. Vita Vea didn't play a huge part of that season as well. And you got a guy who's 100% healthy. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, Scotty Miller, all were nicked with injuries at some point. And now you've got a 100% healthy team right now.
Plus Tom Brady's comfortable. He understands.
And Tom Brady, that's the most major.
He was hurt too.
Played with an MCL injury.
Right. And his understanding of the offense, he's going to be able to run no huddle. It's going to be very dangerous if they can.
Scary.
Very scary. If they can be on all factors. And the thing that doesn't get talked about enough is this defense. This defense is really good. Like with the Todd Bowles led defense, and they have a lot of talent. And it was really the reason they won last year, the Super Bowl.
I agree. I 1,000% agree.
The defense led the way. If it wasn't for the defense, we lose that Green Bay game. Defense held one of the best offenses to 9 points in the Super Bowl. I mean,
no O-line, but okay.
I don't think that matters.
You're right. You have a good point. You're right.
I do want to jump in here real quick. The Kansas City Chiefs from the second half in week 12 all the way to the end of the Super Bowl only scored one touchdown.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah, one touchdown. in 6 quarters. So now you need to keep that factor in mind when you're talking about they didn't have an O-line, because week 12, those guys were pretty healthy as far as I could see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my obviously the Bucs on paper, I mean, that's the best team in the NFL on paper. The game's not played on paper though.
Right.
My concern that I have with the Bucs, and it's a slight concern, but it could turn into a huge concern, is basically what we spent the first hour of the show talking about, is how this energy and love that there is for Tampa now. Do you think, not because you just mentioned it, they're the hunted now. Mm-hmm. So now they're the hunted, they're not as hungry. I doubt that they're as hungry. I mean, JPP was hungry. You could tell he was hungry. Sue has been hungry. Shaquille Barrett was super starving. You could just feel that on the D line. Offensive line, in those last couple of weeks, especially in that playoff run, they were excellent. I mean, they were super excellent. And I think they overplayed how good they truly are. I mean, Tristan Wirfs was a baby. I don't know how he was able to do that at that age, and he's a freak, obviously. But it's, to me, do you think it's possible that they may have lost that hunger and get caught up in this whole Tampa? I know Tom Brady's there, and he might, whatever, but he might be able to control that. But Tom Brady's falling for the sauce too.
Can I jump on that one?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When you look at this team, and I'm glad you asked that question, you got to consider in the offseason, these guys could have gone for big bags anywhere else in the NFL, but they brought everybody back together, all your starters. I've never seen that in my life. I don't think it's ever happened.
That's wild.
But normally you got an MVP or somebody who played well in the Super Bowl that gets this big offer from a team, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna go explore the money. I got my ring. I'm gonna go explore this money. But the fact that they brought everybody together tells me collectively they want to do it again. Yeah. And I think they're focused on doing it again. I think having the right leadership plays a huge part in doing it again, where people aren't getting lackadaisical on things, but they're focused. I mean, you listen to the interviews, you listen to the press conferences. They forgot about that ring. It's time to start focusing on now and working towards winning another one. So to me, they may be just lip service, but they're saying all the right things, and I'm comfortable that they are hungry to win another ring.
Yeah, and I'll add this, that hasn't been done since 1978. So, I mean, as far as bringing everybody back, and
they've never done it. It's never been done in the free agency era.
Exactly. So, it's credit to them, but that's a good point, because as far as the motivation factor, I don't think that's going to be a problem, like Gene said, with the leadership. And I'll go back to 2002 when the Bucs won their first championship. That team was ready to repeat in 2003. So my biggest concern, though, what happened to that 2003 team is injuries and key injuries. You lose Joe Jurevicius, Mike Allstott in week 2, and you have a field goal block in that game. You lose that game. Martin Grammatica's confidence is gone after that. And then, you lose Brian Kelly. So it just continued to trickle down. Keyshawn was gone after week 4 or 5.
And there were a lot of factors in there too. I mean, right. you have to also keep in mind that they didn't have draft picks.
No, they didn't have the depth that this team has. So
they were in salary cap hell too.
Right. So overall point, no, I think they're going to be extremely motivated. I think the only thing that brings them down is really injuries or just being themselves. And with Tom Brady and the defensive leaders, I don't think that's going to be an issue.
I think having Tom Brady there is the glue to everything. I think when you have a guy who knows how to win, who went by the Patriots way, I've been saying it since he came over here. That's what he's implied to the entire team since he got here. You're going to know your role. Like Leonard Fournette, for example. Leonard Fournette is the bell cow back on any team. He's the ground and pound guy, but you're mixing him in with Rojo, and you're seeing Vaughn get some touches, or the other guy gets some touches. So,
and they all support each other.
They all support each other. They're not. It's usually you see competition in team. Like, I want to overtake this guy, but you're seeing, okay, you need 3 yards from me. Shit, I got that. And then he gets 7 yards. He gets a tap on the ass to go back out there and get 5 more yards. And then suddenly you just see, like, it just becomes a fun game of football. Like, kind of like how the Rays play. It's a fun game for them to play and win. and you see that with the Bucs right now. So you seeing that happen. Also, you have the best GM in football in Tom Brady as well too. So I don't want to give any credit to y'all's GM. He did not call Tom Brady. Tom Brady called him. So Tom, I'm pretty sure, was like kicked in the door, still drinking that avocado tequila, and was like, "Hey, everybody's coming back. Make it happen." And then he smoke came, and he just left out. So
Tom called the Bucs because, like I said before earlier, the Bucs were ready to win. He looked at the roster and he knew it
was the Bucs, the Chargers, and the 49ers. He saw them top to bottom. He said, "Give me the best pitch." And then how can you pass up on the Bucs? How can you look at the team? Like, we said it like so long. Plus, it's just Jameis Winston. Remove Jameis Winston, put in Tom Brady, and sky's the limit after that, man. So,
but that comes back to poor decision making and just not being on the same level, because Tom Brady is you're talking about a offensive coordinator on the field, the way he operates. I mean, think about this. You had Bruce Arians, you had Byron Leftwich, and when you have those guys along with Tom Brady working together in orchestra, they were able to come up with the plan that they did after the bye. I think they all worked together because they weren't clicking before the bye week, but after the bye week, they were good. And I think they figured it all out. But again, I don't want to take anything away from anybody, but I felt like the three of them, the offensive coordinator, head coach, and Tom Brady, all worked together, and they were able to put it all together.
I gotta piggyback on that because you're absolutely right. And when they got this dude, I said, this is perfect. When they got Byron Leftwich, I felt like that was the perfect person to have, lead that room, because I think Tom Brady had a lot of respect for Byron Leftwich. The Jags, for the, they're that's an expansion team as well. They've had a little bit of success, and Byron Leftwich had a lot to do with that for some of those years as well. And I feel like Tom Brady has a respect for him. So you can see when they're having a conversation on the sideline or in the huddle, you can see like it's like two like really smart guys talking. And I feel like that really helped Tom Brady a little, because Byron Leftwich looked like he actually wants to coach somebody. So, and I think Tom Brady, at the end of the day, and I've heard LeBron James talk about this, like he likes to be coached. Like great players do like to be coached. Like don't get it twisted. Like they like to be challenged, because when you think you already know everything and you got a guy in the room who, damn, I never heard it like that before. And you have like a different kind of respect. Like, all right, coach me, like teach me something new. So I think that relationship and then Bruce Arians is no risky, no biscuit. I love it. I love it. So honestly, to piggyback off of that, I think those three components is having three really smart guys in the room to be the quarterback. And then again, with the Bucs, I'm gonna just say this real quick. You win it in the trenches. That's how you do it. And the trenches work for them in the last, few weeks of the season last year and in the playoffs. And the trenches still look good. Like I said, my whole thing, motivation. If you got motivation from the guys in who just won, your quarterback, offensive coordinator, coach are on the same wavelength, and then your trenches look good. That's a Super Bowl team to me.
And y'all gotta catch pass running back now. So you got Giovanni Bernard to factor in this. You never had that before. We thought Rojo could do it. We thought Fournette could do it, but
Vaughn's pretty good with that already.
Huh? Yeah, but Vaughn doesn't get enough touches. Now Bernard's gonna get touches, man. Like it's set.
It's like he got his what's his name? James, is it Smith? What's his name?
James White.
My bad, James White. So yeah, it's like that. So I thought that was pretty.
Yeah, he went from worst to first, man. So I'm happy for the guy. He's been in running back purgatory over there, where they're thinking they're like, we're gonna get rid of this guy. We just draft another running back. We're gonna get rid of him, but he just sticks around, and now he's gone. He's gone to the Bucs. So like that's a good thing for him to come into. So I think the Bucs are the division. I'm like, I made all these different highlights we're gonna talk about when we talk about the rest of the NFC South, but like the competition isn't there for them. Like they should be just going through this like nobody's business. The Falcons got worse. Mm-hmm. The Saints were in salary cap purgatory, man. So they had to cut a lot.
Man.
Yeah, and the Panthers got a little bit better, but they're all brand new. Everybody's there and's got to like gel. So
all right, well, let's get to the NFC South. But really quickly, we already got Bucs out the way. So what do you guys have the record of the Bucs right now? going into 2021?
Ooh, I jinx him. I don't want to touch that.
I'll do it. I'll say 12-5.
Okay, I was between 12-5 and 13-4. I think 13-4 is best case scenario. Well, undefeated obviously, but no, I don't think so. But 13-4 to me sounds about the best case scenario. They might slip up and fall to 12-5. 11-6 might. No, I don't think so. But I think about 13-4, 12-5.
I got 13-4 too. That's what I have.
All right, cool.
I'm sorry, I'm just a jinx, and I don't want to.
It's all good, bro. I'm a Jets fan.
Being honest, it's never been good when I've made it.
Everybody tells me every year, like, oh, you guys could win 10 games this year. I'm like, don't even hold your breath. I don't want to hear it. If they win 4 games, I'll be happy. All right, so let's go to the rest of the NFC South. Let's look at the Saints now. The Saints have always probably been the biggest troublemakers for the Bucs going into the playoffs. Plus, I'll never forget our conversation when they had to face him a third time. Pless said it best. He said, it's hard to beat a team a third time. Mm-hmm. And I was drunk as fuck at what's that place on Howard that used to be Lodge? What's it called? That shitty Cuban spot now? You know what I'm talking about, KK?
Where? On Howard?
On Howard, it used to be Lodge.
Howard.
Oh.
Howard and what?
The Lodge, but not the Lodge?
Yeah, whatever it is.
Oh,
like Howard and Kennedy?
Love Child.
Love Child, yeah. What's that Love Child? Place is trash, by the way. If you're listening, Love Child people.
It's not that. Whoa. The food is not that bad.
Trash. When I hear that, talk about it, it's trash.
Stay on topic.
I was trashed there watching that game, and when I saw Antonio Brown catch that touchdown, I was just like, Pless called this. I had to just text him and be like, you're right, bro. So their key additions, I'm looking at it. They re-signed Jameis Winston. They brought back PJ Williams and they franchise tag Marcus Williams. Key departures, obviously, Drew Brees retires. Emmanuel Sanders goes to the Bills. Jared Cook to the Chargers. Trey Hendrickson chases a bag. Malcolm Brown, Sheldon Rankins, yay to the Jets. Quan Alexander, Alex Anazone, Janoris Jenkins, DJ Swearinger, Justin Hardy. That's a lot of departures and salary cap hit right there. So
and your wide receivers hurt for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
No slants for 6 weeks.
No slants.
Their first round pick is, I never heard of the guy, Peyton Turner. Maybe Pless has done some analysis on him, but
I have.
Of course.
Okay, Peyton Turner. And then I put Pete Werner on there too as their big time draft picks because they didn't have that many draft picks. So those are the two guys that I'm looking at and saying, okay, so but yeah, man, that's a team that looks totally different now. Now you've got Jameis coming to the helm, taking the quarterback by the reins, or the other guy. We don't know who it's going to really be yet. It's going to be some type of competition over there. So it's a whole new look. It's a whole young offense now. What's his face? Michael Thomas is apparently hurt for the beginning of the season. There's just a lot of up in the air. So it's a whole different Saints team that you got to look at now. So what's your guys' takeaway on how the Saints are looking?
Go ahead, Gene.
For me, it comes back to Jameis Winston versus Taysom Hill. The fact that there is quarterback competition right there tells me everything I need to know about the quarterback position. Number one, you've got a guy who is an offensive weapon in Taysom Hill, and defensive coordinators have a problem covering this guy when you can bring him onto the field. Now you're putting him under center. You've taken away that utility knife, so to speak, and you've got a guy who's under center. Defensive coordinators can look at film and game plan for him. And what I've seen from him, sample size, I'm not impressed with him being a quarterback. I would put him a little bit above Tim Tebow as far as being a quarterback. Now, the fact that Jameis Winston is competing with this guy, when Jameis Winston left Tampa, and again, I'm not trashing Jameis Winston. I was the biggest Jameis Winston apologist when he was here. But when you take a step back and look at his body of work, decision-making was always a problem for him. I could rattle off all the different incredible plays that he's made with his legs. But when it came time, rubber hits the road. He's got to go out and win the game. This guy will throw a pick six, or he throws in double coverage, or he does something. His emotions get the better of him, and he can't rein that in. And that's what's really hurt him. And that's, and I tell people, Saints fans are showing video of him working out. Yeah, we saw a ton of video of this guy working out. But at the end of the day, 2019, last play of the game against the Atlanta Falcons, and you throw a goddamn pick six.
Yeah.
I'm still mad about that, man. I'm still mad about that.
Y'all want a W?
Yeah, eating W's and stuff like that. I mean, I love Jameis Winston. I think he's a talent, but at the end of the day, he's not that guy that's going to lead you to a Super Bowl.
No, he's not a leader like that.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
And when you talk about leadership qualities, I don't see it. He doesn't make players around him better. He gets stuff done, but he doesn't make players around him better. And I'm sorry, I would argue that with anybody.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, with the Saints, it's again, it's just too many question marks right now. I think they will be competitive because they do have a good coaching staff. The defense is still, for the most part, intact. So I think they will still be in games, but I think it's going to be a struggle, and they're definitely going to take a step down because if you have two quarterbacks, that means you have none. So it's going to be tough for them and tough sledding. I think, and that goes for the rest of the NFC South, as we'll get into.
Yeah, I mean, for me, prior to Michael Thomas getting hurt, I'm gonna ask you what you guys think the record's gonna be, because you can't jinx their record. You say what you want. Prior to Michael Thomas getting hurt, I have him like 10-7, simply because like you just said, you have two quarterbacks. You literally have zero quarterbacks if you can't decide by July, the end of July, going unless you have a rookie versus a rookie or something like. Yeah. Okay, I get it, but like this is. You have a guy who was a number one overall pick and a gadget guy, and the number one overall pick has to challenge for a job over the gadget guy. I mean, that tells you everything. So they're going to struggle. I mean, and Drew Brees has been hurt for the last couple of years before he retired, and Teddy Bridgewater did a very good job with that. Like they knew, Teddy Bridgewater's our guy, but like to me, Jameis is the more talented of all three of those guys.
100%.
And to me, the talent is absolutely there. I mean, I've seen him on my own. I know we give him a lot of flack for the 30 interceptions, but he still threw 5,000 yards and 33 touchdowns. So we can't gloss over that aspect of him. So the talent absolutely is there. The decision making, unless Sean Payton he has telekinesis and can psychologically fix him. And like, speak to him, calm down, take a second. Oh, look at your check down. There he goes. Like, unless he has that in his ears, it's going to be, it won't be a horrible season. I've seen him as a dark horse MVP candidate. But he has that kind of ability. It's just, I don't think so. So I started off 10-7. I'm downgrading to 9-8. But we'll see what's up with the injury.
Can I say some shit first, man, before we give our predictions on the numbers, man?
I thought you said a lot.
You're getting abused, man. I feel bad for you, bro.
I'm just trying to get ahead of the curve.
Shit, man. I open the floor, man. I mean, all right, I'll go through it real quick. I think Jameis playing for the Bucs had too many head coaches that couldn't get through to him. I think now that he's with Sean Payton's a guy that doesn't put up with shit. I think he can easily manage Jameis Winston. I think he'll bounce back, hopefully, but I still think his decision-making will play into stuff. We all know the defense from the Saints wreaks havoc through the South all the time whenever they play against their rivals. So the defense will be intact. They're still good. They still got their key components. But it all comes down to how Jameis Winston's going to play as a starting quarterback, because I don't think Taysom Hill's going to be the starter. He's going to be the gadget guy again. He'll probably go in some roles where he does play quarterback, but primarily it's going to be Jameis Winston as the guy doing that. But I'll give my predictions first. I'm gonna say 9-8. That's what I say them going at.
I'll say 8-9. So
yeah, I got him with 8 wins.
All right, like I said, I'm downgraded to 9-8. So we got them. We got them.
Right. We close.
So let's go Falcons now. Key additions. They just basically said goodbye to everybody on the running back core. They add Mike Davis. They add a Swiss Army knife and Cordell Patterson. I guess, I don't know, Taraji Sharp, if he's even relevant still.
Taraji, he's not bad.
Yeah, so key departures, they got rid of every running back: Todd Gurley, Ito Smith, Brian Hill. Obviously, Julio Jones is now in Tennessee. Alex Mack is with the 49ers. James Carpenter's gone on that O-line. And then all three of their big DBs they had, Darqueze Dennard, Ricardo Allen, and Keno Neal, are all gone. And then draft picks that they add are Kyle Pitts, who's a big name stud right there. Rishi Grant and Jalen Mayfield are probably the three biggest ones. Plus, if you know more because you make a little video of that shit, that's on you. But
wow.
My show. But they're a team that like they don't know where they're at. Like, do they want to be contenders or do they want to just scrap everything? Because I think if you scrap everything, you got to get rid of Matt Ryan too. Like, I feel like you're just wasting his time there. So break it down for me. Let's talk.
Yeah, I thought the Falcons should have drafted a quarterback at 4 and try to build for their future. I think it was time to move away from Matt Ryan, even though Matt Ryan is a very good quarterback, but I feel like his years are going to be wasted in Atlanta going forward. The coaching staff, again, they have a whole new coaching staff, so it's going to be a change philosophy wise. They're going to try to be more physical on offense and run the football more and use their 2 tight ends and do some different things of that nature. Again, you lose your best player in Julio Jones, and now you're asking Calvin Ridley to step up and be that guy. I don't know if he can. And then defensively, you have no pass rush, and that was their biggest problem. And you have a very young secondary now that I just don't feel is going to be able to match up. So looking at them, I think they're unfortunately going to be the bottom of this roster. I have about, I would say whatever 5-12. I'm going to put them at that.
Well, for me, Atlanta has never been the same since Tom Brady took their heart and stomped on it and urinated on it, basically. They haven't been the same. Matt Ryan has never been the same. He's never recovered from what happened in the Super Bowl. He's just never been the same guy. Kind of like Cam Newton has never been the same guy. But ultimately, at the end of the day, they should have gotten rid of Matt Ryan should have gone when Julio went, and they should have just
Kyle Shanahan. They should have kept Kyle Shanahan as the coach.
Right. And that it all should have just happened that way. But the fact that they didn't, they think that, Matt Ryan has some years left in him. I just don't see him having that leadership quality. I think we've seen the best of him. I mean, he is who he is. And I don't care who you put, on either side of the ball or either side of the field. Again, I'm kind of with Pless here. I think he summed it up really good. I see him maybe getting 5 wins.
Well, I don't think that negatively of the Falcons, actually. I think a lot of those losses that they had last year were strictly on horrible coaching, which have obviously cleared the room. But those first 6 weeks, they were up just like the Super Bowl, up 21 points, 25 points, 20 points in the fourth quarters of a lot of these games. And they just kind of found a way to lose it. A lot of it has to do with their defense, which is atrocious. But their offense still, even without Julio, I feel like their offense is still going to be fine. Calvin Ridley, I think he's a stud. I think Kyle Pitts is going to be, a great piece that they add. Who else? The running back game, Mike Davis is a good back. To me, he's more of like the slash to the dash. Like you had like a 2-headed monster kind of thing. So I don't think their offense will be terrible. The defense will suck. Their offensive line is ranked 24th if you look at Pro Football Focus. Mm-hmm. So I feel like if you can't, and then their defense was ranked 31st last year. So if you have a 31st ranked defense and an offensive line that can't protect your aging quarterback who's probably not all the way bought in, it could lead to disaster. I still think, I looked at their schedule, they have actually one of the easier schedules. The Bucs have one of the easier schedules as well. So I think just based off of, they could get probably 3 or 4 wins against the Saints and the Carolina Panthers. That's already 3 or 4. Then they play the AFC East. I think they could catch the Jets slipping, which is another win. The Dolphins can get caught slipping as well. So I think if you actually go look at their schedule, I think they can get 7 wins. But they're kind of stuck in that Matthew Stafford thing where it's like, we have a good quarterback and we have some pieces, but we have to eventually just rebuild this whole thing, because it's like purgatory. You're going to be like, you're not good enough to win, to get to the even playoffs now. Well, maybe because the Saints are going to fall off and the Panthers are not that good. Yeah. At least you can say you can be second in the division. Who knows what that's going to get you these days? But so they can get second in the division, but they're not a true contender right now. So I think 7 wins is possible just based off their schedule. They could sneak an 8th win in there, but it's kind of like a purgatory thing where they're going to realize, we got to get rid of Matt Ryan and kind of just build around Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley and, a couple linemen, a couple defensive players, and call it a day.
Yeah. Gene had to bounce. He has to record his podcast. So shout outs to Gene for jumping on.
Oh, thank you, Gene. We're gonna bring you back on soon, man.
Yeah. Gene records Buck What You Heard. We'll give him a shout out at the end. But yeah, my Falcons predictions is they screwed the pooch again, man. Like your biggest hiccup is definitely defense. Go get defense. So you re-signed Barkevius Mingo, who likes to touch little kids. So now you got to get rid of him. And then you sign nobody on defense, man. You sign more offense. You clean house. You got rid of Julio Jones. My biggest thing is, can this team gel now, knowing that the best wide receiver, who a lot of these guys have looked up to, and Ridley, who is also an Alabama product, got to look up to. Can they take the next step? And I think it's just a lot of question marks, because we haven't seen Kyle Pitts play in the NFL. He's already getting compared to the greatest tight ends and that have ever played the game already because of his skill set.
Which he could very well be. I mean, let's keep it real. Like, this dude is an elite player already.
I'm not saying that, but
he can't block a lick, but neither can Tony Gonzalez.
So. We haven't seen anything yet. So like let's pump the brakes quick. I mean, I hope he does well. I want him to do well, but
you're correct.
At the same time, there's nobody, like, we're gonna see Ridley take the leap this year. Can he become a 1? He's very small. Can he become a 1?
He's 6'1".
I just feel like he's small, man.
He's 6'1". That's normal height for a receiver.
He looks like 5'10", man.
No, it's because he's standing next to Julio's big ass. Julio's 6'12", 250. Like, yeah, of course.
Size or anything like that. Can he make the jump to be 1? Can he be that? I think the Falcons really screwed it on not getting any defense, because now Matt Ryan's just going to have to throw for an insane amount of yards and, score 38 points a game, 40 points a game, and win the game very close, and hope that the kicker can win it for him on some stuff. So,
who's a great kicker?
He is a great kicker. But I think I'm going to put them just a little bit. I'm not going to have them at a good route. I'm going to put them at 5-12. That's what I have them at.
So the three y'all, well, Gene not here no more. Again, shout out to Gene. Thank you for coming on. But y'all got them 5-12. Have you seen their schedule?
It is, but it's any given Sunday, something could happen. Somebody could step up and do it. And I just don't see the Falcons. They don't have an identity right now. Yeah. When it was Turner and Jones and Ryan, or whoever was the running back during the Super Bowl when they were there, like, there was identity there. Mm-hmm. They had like defensive players who were stepping up and that were making names for themselves. Now everybody's just like, all right, another coach, another defense, another playbook, type shit. So it's almost like Jay Cutler for the Bear with his offensive coordinators that he's had. So
I get that.
So, all right, find your identity. Let's go Panthers now. Let's break it down. Key additions, got my boy Sam Darnold. I hope he does well. They signed Hassan Reddick, Denzel Perryman from the Chargers, AJ Bouye. Is that how you say his last name? Yeah, Bouye. And then they franchise tag and sign Taylor Morton, who I've never heard of, but apparently he's really
AJ Bouye is solid though.
Yeah. So they have some good key additions. Departures, Teddy Bridgewater every year goes somewhere and he does decent and then gets shit on. So Teddy Bridgewater's gone. Mike Davis went to the Falcons. Curtis Samuel's gone. Russell Okung and K'Wan Short is gone. Draft picks. I think they had a great draft class, man. I think the Panthers probably had the best draft class in my opinion. J.C. Horn, Terrence Marshall, Brady Christensen, Tommy Tremble, Chuba Hubbard, and Deontay Brown. Like that's a lot of good draft picks right there. So the Panthers, they went young. They went and got Darnold, who has chemistry with Robbie Anderson. They have good pieces on defense, good plug-in guys with the draft guys they have now. Could this team take a leap from what we saw last year? And can Christian McCaffrey come back healthy? Break it down. Go, Pless.
Yeah, I feel the Panthers have the biggest opportunity to make a leap this year. And I think they have a really good chance to finish second in this division. I just feel like their defense is going to be very good. I think that's the strength of their team. It's going to grow from what it was last year. It's very young last year, and now they've added more pieces to it. And I think it's going to be very solid. The big question mark for them is obviously the offense and how is that going to operate? Is their offensive line going to be stable enough to give Sam Darnold what he needs? Can Christian McCaffrey be healthy throughout the year and be that stable running back like he's shown in past years? So that's really my question. How good can the offense be? If the offense can be somewhat average, middle of the pack, I think they have a really good opportunity to get 9-10 wins possibly.
Well, you know what? I am one that is willing to reconsider my thoughts based off of information that, at first I may have not been too privy to. Man, going into this little show that we have today, I wasn't really too high on the Panthers. And then I actually, as I was like trying to do some quick slime with, just doing some quick math and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? They're not that bad. They're not that bad. The problem that I have, there's their offensive line. They got some youth, and they were not good at all last year. And then their defense was 24th last year as well. But they have addressed a lot of those issues. They've added the right pieces to address their offensive line, obviously, and their defense. So to me, I'm coach, what's his name from Baylor?
Matt Rule.
Yes. Can he run an NFL locker room? I don't know. Like, I'm not sure yet. They were obviously bad last year, and they had Teddy Bridgewater.
Right.
How much better is Sam Darnold and Teddy? At this point, to me, they're equals. Teddy's probably a little bit better. So I'm not 100%. And A-Rod's the biggest Sam Darnold apologist I've ever seen in my entire life. He thinks Sam Darnold actually walked on water. Like, it's crazy. So I'm not sold on him because
it's their biggest question mark.
I liked him in college a little bit, but he throws a lot of interceptions, and that's like Jameis. He say, "Oh, he threw it in college." Okay, whatever. It didn't stop. It didn't stop. And Sam has not stopped throwing pigs. Like, his decision making is not all there to me. The talent level, again, just like we talk about Jameis, and we've been trying to hold on for dear life for him. It's just not all there. It's not polished. But he has Robbie Anderson. He has familiarity with. I love the Terrace Marshall pick. I think he's going to be an excellent receiver. And then DJ Moore. I mean, he's still a phenomenal receiver as well. But can they protect Sam? I don't know. Is Sam going to make the right choices? I don't know. And then, the defense will probably step it up. So to me, I had them at 5 and 12. I think they can maybe get 6, possibly 7, because you sold me a little bit more. But I'm still not super high on it. I mean, it might be November. You guys check on me. I'm like, all right, you guys were right. But I think as of right now, they have a lot of room to grow. But I don't know if Sam Darnold's ready for that, elite status that they're going to probably need. Like, that's why, I mean, think about it. That's why they still want Deshaun Watson. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why they still want him, no matter what. So, I mean, if they get Deshaun Watson, call me back, I think they can get 12 wins easy. But I'm not super sold on Sammy Darnold yet.
Yeah, I never thought he walked on water. I like the guy a lot. I liked him, and I felt like his
go listen to the old commentary, bro.
Listen to it, and I said I feel like the Jets wasted his talent by not supplying him with weapons or offensive line help. So I think you took the cake right from what I was about to say. Like, they sucked last year at O-line. They weren't really great on defense, but they went in the draft and they went in free agency and they plugged in the guys that they needed. And the team looks good just based, that it's the same thing as the Falcons. These guys have never played an NFL snap. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, but it's an intriguing draft and it's an intriguing free agency class that they bring into this. And you bring in some veteran leadership. That team was super, super young. So you've got no old head in the locker room saying, hey, you might have did this, but probably should try it this way type of thing. Now you get AJ in there and he's been around the block. He's played with some teams. He's been with the Broncos. He's been with the Jaguars. He's been with whoever else he's been with. So he's got some skin in the game. Hassan Reddick, man, he's been coming alive the last 3 years. So he's wreaking havoc now in that linebacker core. And I think getting Brady Christensen and Deontay Brown, who obviously has a ring with Alabama, you put those guys on the line and you're helping Darnold out tremendously with Taylor Morton, who I still don't know who he is, but apparently he's worth franchise and signed for a very long time. So then you give him weapons like a Swiss Army knife and Christian McCaffrey. He's got rapport with Robbie Anderson. They got a good little young receiving core. DJ Moore, dude from Seattle, David Moore, whoever else is there too, man. Like they could surprise. They, like you said, they could probably take second in the division. But I think it's all coming down to coaching and is Rule ready for the NFL? And is Sam Darnold that guy? You know, this is his redeem time here. Is it everything that's perfect? No, not really, but you do have possibly the best running back, Swiss Army knife in football, and Christian McCaffrey. So
that part I completely even forgot to talk about is the Swiss C-Mac. C-Mac is, I don't know how his name just did not go through my registry. That could be honestly the difference to make Sam Darnold a better quarterback.
I don't like white running backs, but the kid's got game, man. I'll give it to him. All right. So
he's not white, he's clear.
That's Larry Bird. Larry Bird is clear. Okay. So the floor 5, the ceiling, I say 7 because they're young and getting to gel together. I could see them at 7 wins. So
man, you know what? I'm gonna go back and change my pick. I completely just did not think about Christian McCaffrey. I'm giving him 8 wins. Figure out where they're going to be. I'm giving him 8 wins, 8 and 9. Damn, I'm still I'm disrespecting. You gave him what, 10 and 7 plus?
No, I said there's potential for 9 or 10 wins, but I think they're going to be right around 7 or 8. So
okay,
I just feel like they have the best potential to compete with the Saints for second place in the division. And
I think the Saints are still better.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the Saints.
Jameis is the question, but yeah,
Saints defense is definitely more established. But a thing to factor in is Matt Rule does better in his second year everywhere he's gone. So there's that potential for a leap. And obviously the big question is Sam Darnold. If Sam Darnold can be that consistent quarterback and be better in this scheme that he's going to be presented with, and they can stay healthy, they have a good opportunity to really take that spot at second. But obviously I feel the Bucs are going to run with the division. They're going to take the crown. And then I think Saints and Carolina are going to be battling for that second. And I'm sorry, Falcons fans, unfortunately, you're going to be in the cellar.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Come on.
I think the Saints sneak 1 win against the Bucs, but other than that, clean house against the Panthers, clean house against the Falcons, man. It's the writing's on the Bucs look really good. I'm sorry. They just
the Falcons are not terrible.
They're not, but
it just really depends on the direction they decide to go. Okay.
There's a lot of question marks in the division. You know, it's a whole new look team, whole new quarterback in with the Panthers. It's a whole new offense in the Falcons. It's a whole new quarterback right there with the Saints. And then the Bucs, it's just stay healthy. That's all it is. Don't let Tom Brady bring out the cane yet.
Fine.
Right?
I acknowledge. So yeah, the Bucs won the division. Congratulations.
All right, so let's go to the fun segment and wrap things up because we could talk about this forever because Pless loves the Buccaneers. So
man, I wish Gene was here to give us his top 5.
I know, man.
Did he tell anybody his top 5?
He did not. I didn't even tell him we were doing this. So
I'm a guess. But all right, go ahead.
All right, so since this is all guaranteed or triggered to Tampa Bay, we're going to keep it all Tampa Bay sports, and we'll go with Buccaneers since that's what you know the best. Obviously, you're the Bucs guru, draft guru, all of that. Top 5 Buccaneers of all time. All right, we'll let you take the floor first. You can start at 1. You can start at 5. I would say start at 5 though, and go all the way up and why you have them there.
Okay, yeah, man, this is tough. So
I made my list.
Yeah, I wanted to say maybe come back to me. I got to think about this, but
all right,
there's so many to choose from. Yeah.
All right, so I'll give you my starting from the 5 up. I'm gonna go the GOAT. You got to throw him there because he's got more murals painted on him than in the city than freaking Kobe has and LeBron James has. He's all over the place, man. Tom Brady has definitely brought a winning culture here. So I'm putting Tom at 5. Although he's only been here 1 year, he's definitely a game changer. I'm gonna put Rondé Barber because he's a life Buccaneer. He's been here forever. One of the best cornerbacks who doesn't get a lot of rap for doing what he did. Great player, great teammate, great all-around person. His brother sucks at analyzing games, but we're not going to talk about Tiki.
And he fumbled the ball a lot. Just as an Eagles fan, I've been on the receiving end of some of those fumbles. So
he's a personal favorite. He may do a lot of crazy shit and may not be cut out for TV. He also got into a spat with my high school coach, and they cashed it out on the football field, which was very entertaining when I was playing. I'm going to go Warren Sapp for number 3. Number 2, he was Mr. Buccaneer before the Buccaneers were even, I guess, a team really. Like when they were trash, he was there. He had his own barbecue joints. He's well known throughout the Tampa Bay community. Rest in peace. I'm going to put Leroy Selman at 2. And then number 1, probably one of the best commercials I ever saw, where he was riding on that school bus with the kids and doing the chant for Mr. Derrick Brooks. Florida State, one of the best linebackers of all time, man, who doesn't get a lot of credit as well because he played for the Bucs, but I'm going to put Derrick Brooks at number 1, Mr. Buccaneer for sure.
Okay.
So Brady,
right,
Barber.
I know you're ready to go.
Yeah, I'm ready now. So at 5, I'm going to put Mike Allstott. I know he is he's a controversial, just because of his numbers, but I feel like what he did for this town, and he was the offense for a long time. And
a lot of 40 jerseys out there.
Yeah, so I got to put Mike Allstott. I think he's one of the greatest Bucs. And then number 4, I'm going to put, and even though he didn't have a long time as far as just numbers, Simeon Rice. I think Simeon Rice was.
I love Simeon, bro. I love
Simeon Rice is my dude. He should be in the Hall of Fame already. So yeah, Simeon Rice till this day is still the best pass rusher I've seen live at a game.
Oh my God!
So
you read my list. I know you did. But
can I say real quick? I have a funny Simeon Rice story, real quick. When I was in high school, at my homecoming game, he was there, and somebody asked him for autograph, and he was like, "There's a time and a place for everything, and right now is not that time." That was the funniest thing I've ever heard someone tell somebody.
That's great. But yeah, so Allstott at 5, and then I have Simeon Rice at 4. 3, I'm gonna put Warren Sapp, just because again he was just dominant on the field. Every time he took the field, he was the dude, and he was just a great player. Off the field I could care less, but on the field he was one hell of a dude, like just Hall of Famer for a reason. And then number 2, I'm going to put Rondé Barber, again another guy that should be in the Hall of Fame. Like you said, lifelong Buccaneer. And he was just fun to watch. He invented the slot, the nickel corner. He played safety. People forget he played safety. Like he played everywhere. So yeah, number 2, Rondé. And then number 1, I think Derrick Brooks. It has to be Derrick Brooks because he was the leader. He was just a terrific player, homegrown. And I could say so many Bucs. Like this is like
there's so many.
Yeah, so many great Buccaneers, and I
feel you could throw one in there.
I feel bad leaving Leroy off my list. I think Leroy Selman was just a tremendous person, and he did so much for Tampa. And when he played, like he went through a lot of just a lot of bad, and then obviously got him to the NFC Championship game, which was awesome. And so I just felt like he didn't get as much credit as he should have got.
He was a one-man band.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Derrick Brooks, I mean, just heck of a player, and awesome human being. Still lives in the area and does great things.
So man, so I did mine by my favorite Buccaneer players that I've personally watched. So
those were my favorites too.
Okay, and that's perfect because all right, I didn't grow up watching Leroy Selman. I didn't know who Leroy Selman was until I moved to Tampa and I saw him, his face everywhere. Like I didn't know who he was, and I was a football fan. So I can't, no offense to Leroy Selman at all. I couldn't put him on there. At some point, you guys had Steve Young, and at some point, you guys had Doug Williams. Doug Williams.
Yeah,
you guys
was really good.
You guys had, oh my God, it was another guy. I got to look it up. It was a receiver that I remember. But you guys have had them all. You just didn't know when to play them or how to play them, man. So I can't give all those guys credit, but the guys I can give credit to. So number 5, I have it tied. So when I first started playing video games, I played NFL Blitz a lot. And this is when I was living in Detroit, Michigan. I would play with the Bucs because A, I like the color of the jersey, and B, Mike freaking Allstott. I thought he was just a bruiser, and then I'm like, who is this dude? And I would watch him play with these big ass shoulder pads and just fullback. I'm like, what the? I want to play that position. Like this big dude was just running people over. If third and goal, give it an all stop. Fourth and goal, give it an all stop. Like it was simple. So I was a huge fan of his. And then I actually tied him with Tom Brady as my number 5. Now, obviously, Tom Brady's better than. You can argue that he's greater than everybody on this list. But I'll start for the toughness he brought to the city. And then Tom Brady brought the swag back to Tampa. Like I feel like he's very infectious with how he's been since he's got here. He had me wearing some Buck stuff last year, and then I haven't done that in a long time. I was driving down the streets, Del Mabry, after they won the Super Bowl, like I was a Bucks fan myself. So and that's all because of Tom. Like I've always been a Tom Brady fan. He went to University of Michigan. I mean, I grew up in Detroit. I'm a huge University of Michigan fan. So if you blew, you blew, and he was blue for me. So I've always been a fan of his. But I always thought he was a cornball, and but now he's not a cornball to me. He's a swaggy dude. So I tied the toughness of All-Star with the swag that Tom Brady and the energy that he brought back to the city of Tampa. My number 4, which you stole right off my list, Simeon Rice. Again, it's crazy that I'm an Eagles fan because when I first got to Florida, when I really started paying a lot of attention to Florida. I mean, to football. And I happened to live in Orlando, and Buccaneers were right there. And the second year I'm there, they won the Super Bowl. So I was like, oh, that's a local team. But I was already bought into the Eagles because Donovan McNabb and all that stuff. So and Simeon Rice was one of those guys that made me watch the Buccaneer games every single week. Because I'm like, yo, that guy, that's the best pass rusher I've ever seen in my life. Like, there's 2 guys that don't get talked about a lot to me and that are pass rushers and amazing ones at that. It's Simeon Rice and Javon Curse. And I feel like those 2 guys get disrespected a lot. So, Simeon Rice that was my guy. Number 3, which is actually a sour one, but again, I'm living here, but I'm an Eagles fan. We're the year that you guys won the Super Bowl. Who do you have to go through to get to the Super Bowl? You had to go to the Philadelphia Eagles, correct? Who ran the pin drop interception back for a touchdown?
Yep, Rondé Barber.
Oh, Rondé Barber. And that day I hated him, but I never truly hated him. I actually like Rondé Barber. Because I was such an anti-Tiki Barber guy, I actually love Rondé. I'm like, yeah, you better than your brother. You're better than your brother. So I was always a huge Rondé fan. He's a humble dude. He's a nice guy. He does his commentary for Fox now, and he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. So I respect that, especially on defense. And the rest of the guys on my list, as far as Simeon Rice and Rondé, they're all defensive players because I'm a defensive guy. And he was, a lot of him. And then my next 2, I'm going to give it to you, Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks. So Warren Sapp had 2, Derek Brooks, and then Simeon Rice. Those 4, to me, you can just feel that they were the heart and soul of 2000s Buccaneer defense with what's his name, the defensive coordinator at that time,
Monty Kiffin.
Monty freaking Kiffin. He was dope. Monty Kiffin was dope with that, the system that he ran, and you could just. Derek Brooks just breathed life into everybody. Warren Sapp brought the nasty. Simeon Rice was coming off the edge too, and then Rondé Barber just out there lurking, waiting to get that ball. So again, it's crazy that I've always called the Buccaneers as my second team, quote unquote, because I always support my local team. So that's why I know the Bucs really well. But those guys made me I can support this. I can support this movement. So. But yeah, Simeon Rice, man, that dude that was a bad dude, man.
Simeon Rice he's probably one of my favorite players when I was a kid too.
Warwick Dunn was dope too.
Warwick Dunn, I want it based on all around everything that these guys have done for the city. So
yeah,
Hardy Nickerson, another one you could throw on there too, man. Hardy Nickerson changed the way the Bucs play defense. That's for sure. When they got Hardy Nickerson, game changer right there immediately. He didn't win a Super Bowl, but I mean, he helped create that defense that they had. So,
Pless, do you think Levante David will be on that list one day?
Yeah, I think, again, he's another guy that's just super underrated, doesn't get the respect that he deserves. He's legitimately the best linebacker, I feel, in the league. I think he's tremendous as what he does. And now that they're winning, I think that respect's going to come forward. So yeah, definitely he's going to be in the Ring of Honor, and I think he'll definitely be a Hall of Famer as well.
Yeah,
Ooh,
I think we have Tom Brady's face here. Like, it makes things more marketable, a lot more fun for you. So
it really, LeBron James had the same effect. He show up to your team and all these guys got commercials and contracts all of a sudden. So sometimes it's like that.
It's just sad because we know the talent that Levante David has, but they'll always be known that he was Tom Brady's linebacker, not Tom Brady was his quarterback. So it's
right.
All right, let's wrap up the show. We've been talking a real long time. So Pless, plug in your podcast. Let them know, bro.
Yeah, again, thank you guys for having me on. It's always a pleasure talking with you guys and talking sports. But yeah, you can follow me and my partner Mark, Real Bucs Talk. It's on YouTube, and we're on social media, Twitter, Facebook. You can find us there as well. So yeah, we do a live show every Monday, 9 p.m. So be sure to subscribe and check that out. And then we also have film studies that we love breaking down. Either it's college players or NFL players of the Bucs or other, players in the NFL as well.
Definitely check out that damn film study. I'm telling you, I feel like I've learned.
We got more
so much.
We got more college players coming out. In a little bit, because we're going to do it throughout the season and really build a database. So we're very excited about that.
I feel like Pless doesn't sleep. He just cuts videos and puts them up all the time.
I'm usually watching film a lot. Yeah.
I love it, man. I'm about to get on that wave.
Mark, just jump on the show, bro. Quit using your kids as a crutch for this. Just jump on the show, bro. Like, stop beating around the bush. Gene is our other guest. He had to bounce because he had to record his podcast tonight. He has one called Buck What You Heard. You can watch that on YouTube, correct, Pless?
Right. Yep.
He has a Facebook page too.
He's mainly on Twitter. You can follow him on Twitter. I think it's the same at Buck What You Heard.
Buck What You Heard. Yep.
Yep.
You can find Gene
BucWhatYaHeard. Buck What You Heard.
Correct. Yep.
There's a correct spelling for you there. As for us, Twitter at @fair_weather_pod, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, the Fair Weather Podcast. You will find us there if you search it, and where you subscribe to your podcast, we will be there as well. Plus, always a blessing, man. I love having you on, man.
We're doing 2 more divisions next week, so you guys be ready. We're covering football this summer, guys. Peace.